our story begin in episode 19, where we would see basically Bulkhead, Wheeljack, RC, and Cliffjumper along with Sierra, Miko, and Jack. Now, the four Autobots and the three humans are busy walking to get out of the cave. And Miko still runs back like she does in canon, and the other Autobots follow. I'm not gonna lie, this episode basically plays out the same because I can't really change nothing much. Besides the fact, hmm, yeah, never mind. This episode is the same. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, episode 19 plays out the same, but episode 20 is a bit interesting. Now, obviously, Arachnid would tell Megatron about the Harbinger, like she does in canon, and she goes with Starscream and Skyquake, as Megatron doesn't trust her that much and decides to send one of his most loyal Decepticons to basically help him. Well, help them, basically. And they all go together. Of course, they only find the first part of the Harbinger, and Starscream and no, not Starscream, Arachnid and Skyquake basically order Starscream to tell them where the other half is, and Starscream does tell them where the other half is, but suddenly Optimus, Iron Knight, and Jazz are busy walking in and start attacking the Zedekons. And they quickly leave, but Arachnid uses Starscream as a distraction by webbing him up and leaving him there to basically meet his end. And Arachnid would dig out of there with Skyquake, and both of them would leave. And once they like get up to the surface, they would see Skyfire and RC, who both fight their individual opponents. RC fights Arachnid and Skyfire fights Skyquake. Dang, that's another sky. That's another sky in their names. But yeah, and their fights are kind of even. Besides Skyfire and Skyquake, because Skyfire is massive. If I have to say, he's bigger than even Predaking in his robot form. Probably the same size as his beast form. So yeah, Skyfire is having an easy time. But the Decepticons do manage to leave and escape from there. And Optimus and the other Autobots bring Starscream. And Optimus calls the other Autobots to join them, such as Bulkhead, Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, and who else? Wheeljack, yeah. And that's all. And Starscream would inform them where the other Decepticons are going and tells them what's going on. So the other Autobots are like, guess we gotta run V up. As all of them proceed to go to the location to the second part of the Harbinger. And they are busy driving there basically, and they would arrive. Now Optimus would inform Cliffjumper and RC to stay behind and protect Cliffjumper. Even though RC wants to get revenge for Tailgate, she does obey the order because at least she's with her partner. And the other Autobots have to basically fight the Decepticons. Now, you see, Optimus hasn't been a leader in the entirety of Transformers Prime. Like Optimus, yes, he's made good decisions and good plans, but most of the time it's everyone else giving him the plans. And he's the leader, so I'm going to allow him to make his own plan. And the plan is that he's going to be the distraction while the other five Autobots basically sneak attack the Decepticons. He will basically be the bait, and they are basically the rod, basically. And that's the plan. Arachnid and Skyfire come out with the immobilizer, yes. And Optimus will use the power of the Sword of Judgment to basically hold off Arachnid and Skyquake. And since he has the Sword of Judgment, it's actually a bit easier. And Skyfire, Iron Knight, Bumblebee, Bulkhead, and Wheeljack are basically on top of the mountain, basically ready for Optimus's orders to attack them. Now, Optimus would be paralyzed by the immobilizer, and the Autobots quickly come in and sneak attack them because now the Decepticons are off guard. And they manage to basically overpower them and grab the immobilizer in the nick of time. Now, Skyquake and Arachnid realize they don't really stand a chance and decide to leave. But when they're leaving, they spot Starscream trying to sneak his way out of here. Like he tries to deceive them and tries to get under their skins. But since Cliffjumper's alive, and Cliffjumper he's mad at Starscream, but he's happy he's alive, so he doesn't really care much. So he can't do nothing much. But Arachnid and Skyquake basically attack Starscream because he's the reason why they lost the immobilizer, so they go straight to attack him. But when they start attacking him, the Autobots start protecting Starscream. But Starscream takes his opportunity to basically dig his claws into RC's side, basically slicing her there, and grabs the keys and quickly opens up his restraints and quickly leaves. Cliffjumper gets mad from this and starts attacking, and Skyquake and Arachnid realize that Starscream left, and both of them are pissed, but they just leave. Now Cliffjumper quickly looks at RC's wounds and is like, "Dang, he got you good," and she's like, "Ah, should have never turned my back to that con." And Cliffjumper's like, "Yeah, Starscream is a traitor. After all, he's the worst type of con to ever deal with. He was like backstabbing his opponents, literally." And yeah, now basically Arachnid and Skyquake go back to base and inform Megatron what happened. And Megatron is extremely pissed at Starscream. And now knowing he's rogue, he basically sends a bounty on Starscream's head. They're telling all the Decepticons whoever finds Starscream for him or whoever kills him is gonna become his dead lieutenant. Yeah, you know what? He's dead in command. Yeah. Now, who's gonna become Megatron's second in command? I'm gonna say it's Skyquake because he's loyal, he's strong, and it's understandable, it's reasonable. But yeah, and that's the end of episode 20. Besides the fact the Autobots managed to restore Optimus, and now he's unmobilized or unparalyzed. They managed to save him. But yeah, we skip to episode 21, and that episode kind of goes, huh. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna say goes the same. I ain't gonna lie. Like the Autobots, sure, they're beating the cons, but Miko's always the one ruining the plan. So yeah, that still happens. So the episode is kind of the same, but the Autobots do get the full formula of the inset energon though. That's the only difference. And we skip to episode 22 where we would see Skyquake, no, not Skyquake, Skyfire. Dang, it's so many skies. But yeah, Skyfire and Ratchet working together to basically decode and make their full instead energon formula. Basically, they're just trying to make the energon. And the other Autobots basically go on a mission to grab some energon. And that scene kind of goes out the same. RC going after Breakdown and Knockout. But Optimus uses the power of the Sword of Judgment to basically burn the rocks that are in front of them and they quickly rush in. Now, instead of it being Ratchet saving RC, it's the other Autobots who quickly come in to save her. And since Ratchet's like less angry at himself because he feels like a burden, it's more chill. So yeah, that scene basically just goes like instead of Ratchet, you just replace all the other Autobots such as Optimus, Iron Knight, Cliffjumper, and all that. Those Autobots are the ones who basically save her, and the rest come a bit late. But yeah, and yeah, hmm, that's the end of that episode basically, because you see Ratchet doesn't put himself energy on himself, so the only way this episode will end is them testing it on Optimus as he volunteers because he's the leader and he doesn't want anyone to get hurt, so it makes sense. But when Optimus goes on a test run fighting cons, he does realize there's a few side effects of the instead of Energon, as this is only like the only 85% finish, so there's still a lot of rage in it. So Optimus basically goes on a rampage, killing cons in the most brutal ways, kind of like Beavis Optimus. And seeing this, Optimus would say that the formula is very powerful, but the problem is that they would have a bit of a side effect. Their anger would increase a bit more. And hearing this, Ratchet and Skyfire realize, back to work. I'll go back to the drawing board. As the guys realize, back to square one. Yeah, that'll be the end. And episode 23 would play out a bit the same with I would say Megatron thinking that he's gonna kill Optimus and all that. Like that episode basically kind of goes on the same. Raphael still getting injured by Megatron, Bumblebee wanting to kill him, and Optimus sneaking on Megatron's ship and going on a rampage. But the rampage scene goes a bit differently. As when Optimus goes on his rage moments, he actually goes all out. And with the power of the Sword of Judgment, he easily burns through cons left and right. And instead of Optimus just using the Vehicons communications, he goes straight to the main bait where all the main Decepticons are. And he proceeds to fight Skyquake, Arachnid, who else? Breakdown and Knockouts. All four of them. All four of them rush in to jump him because they realize he's here. And Optimus easily overpowers them, beating them up quickly and swiftly, and basically putting them on the t-shirts, and they easily getting overwhelmed by Optimus, and they're having a very tough time as Arachnid gets sliced on her chest. Not in half, just like a quick slash on her chest, which makes her bleed energon, and Optimus kicks her away. While Skyquake rushes in with his sword trying to stab Optimus, but Prime dodges the blow and quickly does an elbow strike in Skyquake's face and sends him flying and grabs him by the leg and throws him straight to another wall. While Breakdown rushes in, but Prime stabs him straight in his stomach and then proceeds to remove his blade and use its fire abilities to throw him away. While Knockout tries to attack Optimus, Prime just grabs him in the face and slams him on the ground, knocking him out. And Optimus quickly rushes in towards I would say Soundwave and puts Soundwave, he puts his blade straight to Soundwave's throat and orders him to take him to the or ground breach him to the location of Megatron. And Soundwave would inform Megatron that Optimus is here, and Megatron is like, good, send him to my location. Soundwave is like, Master, are you sure? And Megatron is like, just do it, Soundwave, because this is where our destiny, well, the end of Optimus' destiny ends. As Optimus will go straight towards the location of Megatron and he starts fighting off mechs. And Optimus will say one shall stand and Megatron says one shall fall, and both rush in and start attacking each other. But with Optimus having the Sword of Judgment and him being bloodlusted, Megatron got cooked. Imagine Megatron fighting Optimus with the Star Saber, but Megatron doesn't have the Dark Star Saber. That's basically how the fight's going. Megatron is literally getting overwhelmed. With the Sword of... dang it, my speech. With the Sword of Judgments, it's kind of hard, basically, for Megatron to fight back. Prime's Sword of Judgment basically just overwhelms him because it's a fiery ability sword. Megatron getting scorch marks. Megatron is getting overwhelmed left and right. And even if Megatron got the Dark Energon boost, that still doesn't help him, as Optimus is weakened from the Dark Energon and is a bit tired and exhausted, but he still has the sword, which makes it even. So even if Megatron they get the Dark Energon boost, it's basically still an even fight. And instead of the Autobots coming in to save Megatron, Optimus, that's the end of episode 23. We skipped to episode 24. My bad. Yeah, episode 24. Instead of the Autobots coming in to save Optimus, they actually come in to say, my bad. Instead of the Autobots coming to save Optimus, it's the Decepticons coming in to save Megatron. As a ground bridge is opened in front of Optimus, as a hammer smashes him in the face, hits him in the face and sends him flying. Optimus manages to use the sword to basically soften the impact, and Prime looks up in a bit of shock as Skyquake and the other Decepticons such as Arachnid and Knockout quickly come in. Knockout and Arachnid are basically carrying Megatron away while Skyquake and Breakdown are holding off Optimus. And Optimus is having a very struggling time, but then Knockout will scream at them to quickly leave as Skyquake and Breakdown quickly run towards the ground bridge and go through. And yeah, that'll be the end. And the other Autobots come in and see Optimus just dead, tired and exhausted, about to pass out. And Iron Knight screaming at Optimus, Prime, are you alright? Prime looking at him like, yeah. But the Decepticons managed to save their master. As Optimus is brought straight towards the base and everyone asks what happened, Prime would explain, and then the Autobots look at him like, So you could have ended the war, but the Decepticons came in and saved Megatron. Yeah, basically. I knew we should have came early. I mean, he technically didn't need our help. Yeah, but we could have ended the war. It's a sad day for us. And Megatron is taken to the medical bay in the Nemesis. As he's getting repaired, and Megatron is a bit frightened, realizing that the Sword of Judgment gives Optimus a huge edge over them. If Optimus used the full ability of the sword, he knows he could have been killed instantly, but Prime was holding back because he knows the full potential of the sword could burn the entirety of Earth, if not the entire solar system. So yeah, he Optimus was holding back a lot. But now we would basically skip to episode 25, as episode 24 will still end up the same. Now, that episode goes pretty much the same, but instead, Megatron doesn't save Optimus once because, well, Optimus has a sort of judgment and is busy burning Unicron's avatars easily, and he's easily beating them. And with more Autobots, it's an easier time. And thanks to Wheeljack coming in with his ship, it's also an easy time for them because thanks to Wheeljack's ship, they're managing to overwhelm the Decepticons. But now we have a bit of a problem, as basically Megatron does come in and he lands, but instead of saving Optimus, he just comes in basically. And he does give Optimus the same offer, a bit hesitantly, but he does give him the same offer. Prime basically looks at Megatron like, "Do we really need your help?" Well, technically no, but you would need a guide. Prime's like, "Fair point. I guess we can work together." And yeah, episode 25 end up the same, and episode 26 would proceed. But before I go to episode 26, I want to mention something interesting basically. You see the key, the vector sigma key that Optimus gave Jack. In this timeline, he gives it to cliffjumper because it's literally called "What if cliffjumper survives?" So technically, our main character is cliffjumper. So yeah, no Jack, thank God. Yeah. So basically, put Optimus gives it straight towards cliffjumper, and cliffjumper doesn't really know what it is, as he's kind of a young bot. Kind of, he's like old and young at the same time, you can say. But yeah, he's in the middle. He's in the middle. He's a young man, you can say. But yeah, now we will skip to episode 26. As all the Autobots besides Ratchet are going together: Optimus, Ironite, Bulkhead, Bumblebee, Cliffjumper, RC, Wheeljack, and Skyfire, as all of them go together along with Megatron. And with Optimus having the Sword of Judgment, and even if the antibodies manage to overwhelm them, Optimus will just use the sword's power to basically burn every antibody. And him and the other bots, along with Megatron, quickly run through the holes and reach the door. And Megatron manages to open it, but Primal order his Autobots to hold off the antibodies, and the Autobots do that. As more antibodies do come, but they're quickly destroyed by the Autobots. But more still coming. Now, Optimus would come towards the main core of Unicron and does the same thing. Canon uses the full power of the Matrix and uses all of his memories. That will go the same. And Megatron would basically manipulate him and bring Orion Pax back towards the Nemesis, but there is a bit of a problem, as Optimus accidentally drop his sword, and the Autobots basically pick it up. Now, knowing that what's at stake, they realize it's their darkest hour now, and I would have to end up this part right now, and I'll have to see you guys next time. Peace. This was a bit fun, but I would say it's a bit short. I think it's supposed to go longer, but hey, it's how it is. Peace.